Alliance of Valiant Arms is a free-to-play online first-person shooter video game, developed by Red Duck Incorporated and is using the Unreal Engine 3. In North America and Europe, the game service is provided by Aeria Games. In the People's Republic of China, Tencent Games runs the server, and in Taiwan, it is run by Garena. In Japan, the game is hosted on Gamechu. On June 15, 2011, AVA became available for download through Steam. However, it currently isn't available in some regions and some in-game items are only available to players in certain countries such as South Korea and Japan. Gameplay: players will join either the EU forces or NRF forces and attempt to complete their mission objective or eliminate the opposing team. There are 3 classes available in AVA: Pointman, Rifleman, and Sniper. A Pointman enjoys a quicker reload time and faster move speed, while a Rifleman gains more ammo and the ability to hold more, along with heavier armor, and a Sniper is allowed to use a sniper rifle and can fire shots that kill multiple targets. Each has their own advantage and disadvantage against other classes. Players are able to choose which class to play next during the game and also acquire class skills to further enhance unique characteristics of each class. The Team Fortress 2 weapon, the Black Rose, is also awarded to players who complete the Alliance of Valiant Arms achievement First One Down by creating a character and playing their first game. In addition, this achievement will unlock the Holy Mackerel melee weapon for use in Alliance of Valiant Arms. Alliance of Valiant Arms uses a player ranking system based on total experience and common military ranks. Players may gain experience by playing through various game modes and completing objectives. Incentives to rank up include the ability to unlock and purchase various armor, equipment, and guns. The main in-game currency is the euro, which can be used for purchases in the shop and to enter capsule shop drawings, which are lotteries for rare equipment. Players can also purchase equipment from the shop using area points, which can be bought by the player using real-world money. Some items in the game can only be purchased using AP. Most items in the shop can be bought for an expendable or permanent duration. Weapons have characteristics including damage, range, accuracy, stability, mobility, ROF, and ammo. These can be customized by the player through purchase of various add-ons. Game modes: there are currently 10 game modes in the Aeria Games version of AVA. Annihilation: players will be pit against each other in 2 teams that will attempt to reach a preset score, similarly to Team Deathmatch. Alternatively, the team with the highest score once the time runs out will win. Demolition: to complete the mission, the EU forces must plant the bomb at one of the 2 bomb points while the NRF forces are tasked with stopping them. The EU forces will win if the bomb is detonated, while the NRF must disarm the bomb if it has been planted to win. Alternatively, one team will win if the opposing team is eliminated. If the bomb is set, the NRF must either A. just defuse the bomb by defending their diffuser, or B. eliminate the EU forces and disable the bomb. In either case, the bomb must be defused once it has been set. Escort: the EU forces must escort a tank past enemy lines and repair it if struck down, while the NRF forces will be tasked with preventing this, usually by constantly taking the tank down with RPGs. Convoy: the EU forces must transport a designated object to the target area to win. The NRF forces must prevent the EU forces from taking the object. Domination: both teams compete for domination over a target. The team with higher domination gauge or the one in control of the target when both sides have the same gauge will win. Free-for-all: players are pit against each other. The match ends when one player reaches the preset score or time runs out, in which the player with the highest score wins. Cross-steal: both teams are tasked with retrieving the enemy's launch key and returning it to their own base, while defending their own launch key. Infection: each match will begin with a countdown. During the countdown, players must set up a defensive position or plan a strategy to combat against the zombies. When the countdown is up, one or more players are transformed into zombies randomly. Human players must survive until the time is up, while the zombies must infect all human players. AI mission: A group of 4 or 6 players are automatically assigned to the EU to survive and/or complete mission objectives while fighting against AI-controlled NRF. Escape boat. EU troops try to escape to a waiting boat while NRF troops try to stop them. The round ends when the opposing team is wiped out, or when one soldier makes it to the boat. Plot. In 2009, 11 republics of Commonwealth of Independent States which were once scattered into pieces with the fall of former Soviet Union, comes together for reintegration under the leadership of the President of Russia Vladimir Mashkov, a conservative ultranationalist. On the anniversary of National Founding Day of Soviet Union, Great Empire of NRF comes to life with its territory occupying 1/6 of Earth's land surface and having third largest population in the world after China and India. Mashkov revives Warsaw Pact under the cause of protecting the Eastern Europe sovereignty from unjustifiable interventions of US and EU. Eastern Europe countries suffering from great changes permeating and with an introduction of capitalism accepts this treaty thinking that this may be a new opportunity. Some countries opposing the pact had no choice but to let in NRF's troops into their territory. During this time, power of military gets overwhelming and thus starts to look for something or someone to let out this uncontrollable power. Mashkov, in search of targets to gush out this massive power to relieve ever-worsening internal complications, finally turns his attention to the Black Sea, strategically important area connecting Southeast Europe and Asia. This decision did not meet just someone to bully around, but implied more barrels of oil to keep his great empire running. As a result, democracy falls apart in some Middle East countries and new pro-NRF government starts appearing. EU, concerned about NRF's rapid expansion, requested immediate evacuation of NRF troops from Eastern Europe and to stop intervention in Middle East countries through all diplomatic channels, but Mashkov ignores it. In addition, non-EU members plus poor Southern Europe and North Africa countries, those which have been discriminated even though they were members of EU, demonstrated supportive position for NRF with high expectations on this new order in Europe. This extremely fast growth of NRF starts to cast dark clouds that may possibly swallow entire Europe. Switzerland and Austria quickly declares neutrality in hopes to survive this gloomy period in Europe. In January of 2011, as all political and economical approaches failed, EU forces with troops from Germany, France, England and Northern Europe lights up a fire of war by attacking NRF troops stationed in Poland. This was the beginning of never-ending Europe war. NRF forces in hunger of war retaliated with great force and EU had to retreat from Poland after suffering substantial loss. NRF's retaliation did not end, rather, they crossed the border of Germany with great number of troops. EU forces tried to stop NRF's troops flooding in from the east but nothing could stop them. NRF comes to occupy entire Germany and even eastern area of France and maintains aggressive march to completely eliminate key members of EU. NRF, while attacking EU, carries on a negotiation with China and requests to restrain armed intervention by US in return of oil resources distribution in Middle East. US being restrained by China gets hands tied down, disabling active participation in Europe war. However, China feels threatened by this shocking growth of NRF and suddenly changes its position. New wind starts to blow from the west and Zephyr brings US soldiers with her. January 2012. EU forces supported by US troops are now ready for major counterattack on NRF. References. External links, official English site.